Go ahead, pull those ramps out for me. You can throw them behind you on the ground if you want. I'm gonna go get a bag of chipped bentonite and we're gonna fill in that little pocket.
Alright. Should be one at the bed of the water truck.
Okay. Okay. Y'all get to see my fancy camera mounts. This is literally what I use for everything. Kind of crazy. I know the resolution is kind of trash. Mike, we need 1 bag of chipped bentonite, sir. I think when you're live, the resolution is kind of shoddy. Not really sure why, but it's just a new feature for me. I'm playing around with live. Trying to get it on the mount. There we go. Jackson's cleaning up some of the grit because we got about 400 gallons of water we're going to blow out of here this morning. Where? Hello from Sweden and Spain. What time is it over there in Sweden? And what time is it over there in Spain? It's 9:45 here, I believe. I'm curious if it's like nighttime over there. Mike, go ahead and set that down right next to the casing. Let's bust it open. Jack, there you go. Cut the head off that joke. Wow. From Israel. Got people in Ontario, Canada, Holden Beach, North Carolina. South Africa. Wow. Crazy the connections all around the world. All right, Jackson, take your shovel and fluff that stuff around. See if we can get it to fill in. It's gonna swell up a little bit.
You want some more?
No, I think we'll be all right like that.
You want the metal to go around?
I'll pour some water around it and give it some time to settle up. Jackson, take the stuff that's kind of like in the poured crap and just kind of plop it into it. Yep. That's rock.
That's a root too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I had to cut all those roots out yesterday. That'll be good. I'm just gonna pack it in with my foot. Oh yeah, sticks to my foot nice and good. Nice and good. Good enough for a government job. Okay. Take a little bit of dirt and throw on top of it. And honestly, Mike, I think you're right. I think you're right. Let's get another bag. I was kind of hoping it would be ground level, but it's just not. It's just not. Okay, let me see. All right, we gotta, when I crank it up, you see the D-ring? See the hook, how it's twisted? We gotta untwist that. Okay. Let's check engine oil. Let's get y'all up here so I can multitask. All right. Every day. Let's check it together. So that's engine stopped. I don't know if y'all can see that. Looks like I'm a quarter too low. Get it. All right. Chihuahua. Okie doke. Good morning from the ones. Okay. My body's sore from yesterday. My brain's gotta tell me to get over it. Okie dokie. I know I've got a damn quart of oil in here. Paperwork for the day. Mike's grocery buggy. Are you kidding me? Oh, here we go. Duh, Philip. There's a whole gallon. I'm just kind of messing around since I got y'all on live. It'll give people enough time to get on here. And then it's also not, you know, the engine's not running and all that wild, crazy mess. Okay. Up top, here we are. Two quarts low. When it holds 11 gallons, 2 quarts really isn't that much. Exactly 2. Okay. That's crazy. Y'all. Y'all basically telling me where you're at. That's nuts. Spain, South Africa, all over the freaking world. That's crazy, man. Cool as shit. Cool as shit. Here you go, Jack. Take that. Put that oil back in the side bin of the water truck above where the water coolers are. Okie dokie. Let's go check how much fuel we got. See if need to transfer fuel or not. I got about 1/3 of a tank. I don't have a operational fuel gauge. I have one on here, it's just broken. One of our wintertime projects. Suffolk, UK, Boulder, Colorado. Daily driven shitbox. Is this your first live? Haven't caught one before. No, I have if you go on the playlist section of, you know, my channel, there's a bunch of playlists, and then if you search, you'll see the other lives that we've done. But you have to search within the depths of the channel itself, not just click on the videos. If you click on the videos, you're gonna get, you know, a list of 400 videos. You have to go in and search the library. It's a little bit more organized, but not so much. I wish the quality of the video was better, honestly. But that's live for you. It does give me an option to pair 2 phones together, and I think I could do like split screen or something. I'm gonna start playing around. That's why I'm like messing with live, just so I can learn the features myself. Okay, well, y'all are in the direct path of 500 gallons of water that's about to shoot out. So what's gonna happen, I think most people can actually rewind back through the live. So like if you're watching right now and you just clicked on, I think you can go to the bottom of it and scroll all the way back to the beginning, and then, you know, fast forward through frivolous stuff. But just to let you know what's about to go on, we've got 4 drill rods we have to cut. We're 325 foot right now, making 1.5 gallons a minute. We're going to cut it to 405. We're going to call that a day. Hopefully we hit more water. If not, oh well, is what it is. And so we're going to fire it up, cut those 4 rods, and then we're going to trip out. So I'm going to see if I can leave y'all on the entire time. And we're just going to be working. So I'll talk to y'all probably in 30 minutes or less. Earplugs. Somebody here?
Yeah, the one still working on it.
I'm gonna leave the cover off when I blow it out, just because. I'm gonna leave the cover off, just because it'll look cool.
I'm stepping back here.
Yeah, it'll blow about back there. I gotta let the motor get warmed up for about 1.5 minutes before I turn it on.
Heard.
Fire in the hole! video quality may be better. It just depends on like my internet service. If it's better, then it's a better quality. right now. We are approximately, lots of that. We're at 311 foot right now. Hey, Dad's in the live chat. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're like 341. So that is basically water I'm injecting. The majority of it's water I'm injecting. Right now I've got it, I think I've probably putting in a little shy of 3 gallons a minute. So what's coming off of the skirt looks like 5 gallons a minute. So the difference there would be 1.5 to 2 gallons a minute. And that's basically what we had yesterday. Gonna be kind of boring for about the next 30 minutes. So if y'all got something to do, come back in 30 minutes. That's when we'll be tripping out. That'll be a lot more busy work going on. Have you ever had to drill a hole and hydrofrack it to get a better gallons per minute? Yes, all the time. I would say, I don't know, 1 in 40. 1 out of 40 wells needs to be fracked right after you drill it. This would be a good candidate for that if they need it, since we can't really get the other truck in here. And then I've got 2 spots, 190 foot and 270 foot, that I really thought would have produced more water, but it just didn't. But those would be good spots to frack. The well may come around. But this house is small, it doesn't need a lot of water. And based on the trees, they're not gonna have a lot of landscaping. I got a 300-pound drill rod on a 10,000-pound cable. I'm all right working underneath it. I do that so it's ready. I don't waste time. If I have to pick up a drill rod every single time it's time to change it out, I waste about another 60 seconds. So you multiply that by 12 rods, that's an additional 12 minutes. Everything slows you down. Got to be smooth and consistent. Can y'all actually hear me really well? Like, because I got earplugs in, I can't hear what you hear. Plus the, the overcoming sound of the drilling rig from back here. Do I come in pretty clear to y'all? Alright, so what is the deepest well we've ever drilled? I may be wrong in this, but I think it was 1,180 foot. And it was when this machine was brand spanking new. It was either 1,080 or like 1,120 or 1,180. I think we had 1,200 foot of drill rod. And we were kind of like sketched to use the last piece because it was like an old drill rod, so we just opted to stop there. It was actually at my old house where I used to live. We were gonna drill a well. The rig was brand new, so we were kind of like testing it out, and we wanted to do geothermal at my old home, but the well only produced 3 gallons a minute, so it wasn't enough. And we opted just to put a pump in it and hook it up to the house and just have two, a secondary water source. So whoever bought the house got 2 wells, 2 tanks, 2 pumps. That way when one dies, all they literally do is throw a valve and they have another system ready to go. Y'all see Kevin Hensley in the chat. That's Dad. Y'all can talk to him. I think he's sitting at the shop. Open loop geothermals are thirsty. Absolutely they are. But what we do is we drill 2 wells. So you suck water out of one well, send it through the geothermal system, and then dump water back into the other well. And then the water that you dump back into the other well will basically find its way through the ground, through the aquifer, over to the other well. So you're not pumping and dumping, you're pumping and dumping it back into the groundwater source. That's how we have most of our geothermals hooked up for our homes. We have 2 wells. One of them, basically, you have one that pulls it out of it for your heat pump, and we discharge it back into the other well. And the other well is the well that we use for our household drinking water. There's nothing wrong with the water. It's literally just went through a coil and then a bunch of pipe. And then you dump it right back in. We actually just replaced the pump in that heat pump geothermal open loop system. I don't know, what was it, about 3 weeks ago? Dad said his heat pump stopped working, and we went there and replaced the pump. Honestly, it looks like it's making more water right now. Check this out. Look at the size of that grub. That thing is huge. How close can the geothermal wells be? Most of the time when we do an open loop where we pump and dump back into another one, I would say those wells can be 50 foot apart, 80 foot apart, 100 foot apart. It's just, where do you have access to drill a hole? You don't want them super duper close together. But the ground is basically your heat sink at that point. You're pulling water out of one well at 55 degrees, running it through the system. The exiting water is probably 90 degrees. Then it's got to run back through the pipe in the ground, and it dumps the 90-degree water into the other well. That mixes with, the cold water in that well, and it slowly permeates through the ground, the water, the aquifer, the veins, over back to the other well, and it just cools it down. You don't waste any water. We did one for a job, I don't know, about 10 years ago, and it was a big house for one of our local doctors, and he had, I think it was a 20-gallon-a-minute well, and they were pumping and dumping. They had a permit to where they could run the water through a a geothermal system and dump it into a nearby creek. And I think after 4 or 5 years of it doing that, the well had depleted the entire area, and it went from a 20-gallon a minute well to a 4-gallon a minute well. It was just enough to run the geothermal, but not enough to run the house. And they were running the geothermal and the house off the same well, and every time the heat pump would kick on, it would just dump water from the well into the creek. It's very, I don't know, stupid. I think what we ended up doing there was drilling a well like 40 feet away from that one, encountering the same stuff, and then we just basically made an open loop pump and dump back into the secondary well. But it took a 20-gallon a minute well and reduced it to a 4-gallon a minute well. The jet's coming back. So your parents had a well with bad iron, so the plumbers keep saying to drill a new well, but wouldn't the new well have the same iron as the old well? At the beginning, no. Over time, yes. Iron bacteria is like I don't know, it's a compounding issue. So it would be okay for a little while, and then it would grow and get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I would just shock treat the hell out of the existing well. Maybe a local well drilling company could come airlift the well and blow it out. If they have a jetting machine, they could go in the well and jet it, like blow all the iron bacteria off the sidewalls of the well and clean it as well as you can. And then you just, when you have iron, you just have to stay on top of treatment of your source, of your well. Iron is a fickle thing to deal with, and it's an expensive problem because the iron removing filters are just ridiculously expensive, and then you have to maintain them and upkeep them, and I don't know. I try to fix the source, not filter the problem. right, Ed. Yeah, the sound of the drill rig can definitely put you to sleep. Happens to us quite frequently. And you got like the vibration of the ground and everything. It's just very, very cute. Put your earplugs in. It's just like a constant, steady hum. Touching the screen. Richard, yeah, all we do is drill in Virginia and North Carolina. That's like the reason why well drillers don't travel far. It's because they're set up and they're trained and skilled in the region that they belong in. Like if you were to put me in the sandy region, I wouldn't know what to do because my rig is not equipped to drill through sand. Like we can do it when we run into sandy stuff, but it's a nightmare for us. But like we've had guys with mud rotary rigs come all the way up here. They'll drive 2.5 hours and they'll get down to rock and they'll say, oh, no, we can't do this. You need to call her in a rock driller. So that's why drillers only work in their specific areas. I see some people, you know, that they'll travel 3 or 4 states wide. They have no idea what they're going to encounter when they get to wherever they're going. You know, there's a company in Virginia, I consider them the largest drillers in the state. And I think they have 7 drilling rigs. And, you know, out of those 7, probably 4 of them are set up differently to, you know, drill through different material. You've got this, which is air rotary, then you've got mud rotary, you got your old school cable machine, and then you got your the new development, the newest thing on the scene is dual rotary, where you're forced to use metal casing, and you basically, your casing and your bit and your hammer, and the bottom ring on the casing has little teeth on it, and you drill at the same time as you install casing. It's all kind of locked together. And then once you get your casing down below whatever, you know, the sandy soil, or I don't know, like an old riverbed or something. I've ran into a couple of those. That's where you would want dual rotary. But to set up your rig for dual rotary, you're you know, it's a whole lot of extra stuff. And then you have to have a support truck and probably like an excavator with you. It just, you know, if you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. You set up your stuff for what your region is the simplest answer to that question. Anything at the Drilling Expo? Absolutely. I did a video on it. Those fishing tool products. Who are they made by? H²O products. Quick Fish. I got an internal pipe grab, an exterior wire grab, a harpoon, a cable holder, and some heavy duty rope. That was really the only thing that I really wanted. Most of the guys that I see at the expo, I see them throughout the month anyways. I think 3 of the salesmen stop by the shop quite frequently, and you know, I was just there to experience it. I think if I go back, I might go to the national convention. The national convention this year is, I think it's St. Louis, or no, wherever Mardi Gras is. That's what it is. I guess that's the what, Louisiana or something like that. But a lot of people know me because, you know, I do this. But I don't know anybody. New Orleans, that's it. Have I ever used a horizontal drilling rig? No, but I wanted to. They were putting in underground fiber optic cable along my road over the last year, and they had one of those horizontal boring machines. The Ditch Witch makes it, and the guys had posted it up at the edge of my driveway. I had just paved my driveway too, and they were going to bore under it. And I went up there and talked to them. I thought about making a video of it, but I'm sure the guys would have thought I was crazy. But yeah, I so badly wanted to get on that thing and learn how to push that little spoon-looking bit through the mud. But I talked to them, the horizontal guys that do like underground internet, you know, none of them are trained in it. Like, I asked those guys, and they were all, like, 3 out of 4 of them were working on the gas pipeline before Biden shut that down. And then all the guys on the pipeline, you know, oh, sorry, no more job, no more pipeline. So they all had to go somewhere. So a lot of the guys were from Texas and Louisiana working up here for the boring company. And I asked him, I said, did you have to go to any school or any class? And he goes, no. He goes, they literally gave us the truck, the trailer, and the drill and said, go out and figure it out. I was just so blown away by that. He said for 2 days we had a guy who knew how to do it. He showed us, you know, the basics. And then after that, they were just given free range to run the underground board machine. I just thought that was nuts to not have any training or anything. Like, you know, you can hit anything underground. You can hit main power. You can hit a water line. I guess they just hit it and fix it and worry about everything else later. All right, time for another run. right, Richard. Don't forget to smash that like button. Come on now, there's 154 y'all and there's only 118 likes. Y'all gotta do better. There you go. Keep hitting the like button. Now there's 155 of y'all. Y'all are like, oh, there you go. Y'all are still 30 likes shy to make it even. Come on now. There you go. Come on, I know we can do it. 155 people watching. I know we can get 155 likes. We're at 141. 149. Come on, baby. This is so cool. Interactive video. Oh, we're one off. 152 to 153. Come on. The lone gunman. Holy crap, 157? How's that even possible? We got more likes than we... Oh, now we got 161 viewers and 157 likes. We need... Oh, we're dead even. Y'all are awesome. It's crazy how much the likes really push the algorithm. Likes are very, very important for creators. But I'm guilty of it too. I watch my favorite YouTubers and I'm just like, you know, I forget. I'm there for the enjoyment of the video and forget a lot of times. How did my dad get into well drilling? You know, I'll give you a really simplified version of it. One day I would love to like just sit down and interview my dad for a video and let him tell you the story. But basically, Dad grew up in a military family, and he you know, enlisted in the military. He did 6 years. Learned that the civilian counterparts were making 3 times as much money as he was in the system, and my grandpa had retired here, broke his back, and was doing wallpaper in the 70s. So my dad moved up here to take care of grandpa when he broke his back. And then he got into air conditioning and realized that air conditioning was very competitive. Then he got into geothermal and realized he needed wells to be dug for geothermal. Then the local guy and him kind of got together with that. Then he stopped, you know, he was too busy. So Dad started looking into getting a drilling rig, and then taught himself basically how to drill in the early 80s. And then realized that well drilling was more profitable than the air conditioning field. And he just went that direction. There's a whole lot more to the story, but that's the basics. Yeah, Carl, sometimes when I run into formations that I'm iffy about, I will pull the drill stem out, or I'll at least pull it up, like into the casing, where my bit and hammer's in the casing so it's protected. But yeah, we're in rock country, man. The rock hole stays open. It's supposed to stay open the whole life of the well, so, you know, you should be able to risk your equipment in the hole if you believe that the hole is competent enough to stay open. But on the ones where I don't feel competent that it's going to stay open, I'll pull the drill stem all the way back up into the casing. And then normally we come back on day 2. And the reason why is because we'll go get 4-inch sleeve and we'll slot it. And then we'll line the entire well with 4-inch slotted sleeve. That way if it does collapse, it collapses on the sleeve itself and then water still flows around it. What is my most chilling horror story since it is Halloween? I got hit by a drill rod. I got punted off the back of the platform. That was about 3 or 4 years ago when Justin was working with us. We had sticky controls, and our slow feed was pulling the drill rod up, and we were tripping out. Dad was going a little too fast, working in the dead heated summer. And I had that big breakout wrench on the drill rod, and the male connection and the female connection of the drill rod had pulled apart, and the wrench slipped. And when the wrench slipped, the drill rod was all loaded up, and it kicked back. And normally when it kicks back, it kicks the wrench off, and the wrench goes backwards. Well, this time the drill rod went forward, and it hit me. And luckily, I had my hat on. Even if I had a hard hat on at that time, it wouldn't have mattered. It just, the drill rod kind of caught me in my midsection, just like I was a football, and the drill rod was a kicker, and it literally hit me. I had the male thread rod impression right in my abs, and I had a little goose egg on my forehead, and yeah, it punted me off, and I landed right in that. And my first impression was to put my hand on my head to see if my head was bleeding. And luckily I wasn't bleeding, but I had a goose egg. And that was kind of the transition when I started making Dad slow down to where we didn't have any mistakes like that. Because if it, you know, it happened to me, which is a good thing. I didn't want it to happen to any of the other guys. But it was all just due to moving too fast, not paying attention. We were drilling in sand, and basically the hole was collapsing, so we were trying to rush to get everything out of the hole as fast as we could. The slow feed was slowly pulling the rod up, and we have since replaced that control because it was sticking. But yeah, it's just, that's why I don't move fast. I don't want to make mistakes. A little mistake can cause a big problem. But yeah, that's probably like the only, I don't know, scary story that I have. This isn't a business where you want to have many scary stories. That means you're not doing something right. Yeah, ouch. Yeah, it was definitely an ouch. Actually, I think I was filming. I was doing something, but I have a picture deep down somewhere in my Instagram of right before I got hit with the drill rod. And then after it, I was mad in the moment, and then I kind of fluffed it off, and I thought it was hilarious, so I took a picture. And I've got the threaded drill rod impression on my white t-shirt, just perfect as it could be. And then like a straight line up my shirt, like, you know, and then to my forehead. But, you know, you gotta laugh it off. No harm, no foul, no blood. Just by pure luck, no blood. But Justin, I miss Justin. He witnessed it all. He saw it. He saw me go flying off the back of the machine. But it's the only time anything like that has ever happened in, you know, 2 decades of me being here. But it all stemmed from going too fast. So I learned from that moment, don't rush. Whatever's going to be, will be. At the end of the day, we all want to go home. That's really all I want. I'm here to do a job. We only drill in Virginia, Southern Virginia, and Northern North Carolina. We only go 60 miles from our shop. I know a lot of y'all try to call the office and stuff like that, but yeah, no. I've gotten a handful of jobs from subscribers that are local, especially like hydrofracks, where I travel a little bit beyond my regular distance, but it's just too much. We're too busy for our small crew anyway. My presence online is a whole lot bigger than you know, our company in general. I love what I do. I just don't want to become a manager of people. I feel like the quality of my work can stay at a, you know, a consistently upper scale level if I'm the one doing the work rather than training people to do what I do and then them doing it their way. I know it'll come a time where I'll have to do that anyway, but I'm always afraid of the quality of my work will go down if I let an employee do it. And I don't really see people as my employees. I just look at them as my coworkers, because as long as we all do the job together, we're all doing the same job. If I was a boss and they were just my employee, then I'm gonna. And that's being a boss, not a leader. If you get my drift. There was an old poster back in the day. It showed a picture of a boss and it showed a picture of a leader. And a boss, it was I don't know, it's like Spartans, and it had a guy behind like 4 guys with a whip, and he was basically like whipping people, telling them what to do. And then below that, it was the same 4 guys, and they were all pulling a rope or something like that, but the boss was in front, so it was 5 people pulling the rope. And it's like, this is the difference between a boss and a leader. And I don't know, I've always remembered that image in my head, and I'm like, yep, I don't want to be a boss, I want to be a leader. I always feel like it's best to be involved in whatever you're doing. Yeah, the downward process seems slow. Yeah, man, that's granite rock. We're drilling through 20 foot of granite rock in about 15 minutes. Which is honestly relatively quick. But the bit's a little old. I think by the end of this job, that bit will have 800 feet on it, which will be time for it to be resharpened. I opted not to put a new bit on it. It's either like 50 bucks or 100 bucks every time. You gotta resharpen one. I swear the well looks like it's making more water. Yeah, it's probably because the pressure's getting less now that the drill rod's getting run. How do we give an estimate on a well? So I guess there's a difference between an estimate and a quote. So basically, we can see from all the jobs we've done throughout the year what like the average depth is and what the average cost of a well is. So if you were just to estimate it, I'm always going to be higher than reality. So I would estimate to most of my customers 11 to 13,000. Now, when the bill comes in, the bill's coming in at like 8,500, the customer's happy. But a lot of times you'll lose jobs because you quote higher than, you know, the end result. But I would rather have somebody budget in their bill, you know, 15,000 for their water system, and then they only use, say, 11 or 12,000 of that, so they got $3,000 left over. You know, some people like to quote low to where they get the job, and then they just hand them a bill that's, you know, 40% higher. I've dealt with that recently, and the customer wasn't happy. They came to our shop. I said, hey, you know, our contract wasn't with you. You know, you went this direction. And they said, well, that's because they said that they were going to, you know, this was their estimate, this was yours. Yeah, that's the difference, you know. And they ended up getting, you know, the short end of the stick on that deal. But I just feel like being honest. You cannot quote or estimate exactly what you're going to run into, because on this well here, the neighboring well was 220 foot. We could have just quoted them a 220 foot hole and been like, hey, $7,000. And then here we are at 400 foot. Let's go ahead and tack on another $4,000 to that. You know, then they're like, oh, why did you quote me 220 foot and you drilled my well 400? There's just no rhyme or reason to it. You can't, you never know what you're going to get. So we basically quote everybody a 300 foot hole. And then like this one, it's for a contractor, so he knows that they're ever changing. It could be $6,000, it could be $12,000, who knows? But they're ballpark estimates is all they are. They're a ballpark estimate. So a turnkey job, a well and a pump hooked up to your house, $13,000 is what I would estimate. A well only, $8,000. But yeah, a well only can absolutely double that. You can double a well by cutting it 600 or 800 foot and then hydrofracking it. But those are those rare odd jobs, few and far between. Every time you get to the bottom of whatever you were doing for the day, you call the customer, have a conversation, say, hey, this is what we're at, this is how deep we are, this is the total cost if we stopped right now, and then give them the option whether they want to continue or whether they want to stop. And then you just make notes on that job, on that bill, and say the customer stopped me at, said depth for this reason, and that way there's no questions in the future when they call, or if they call and their well's running dry. Yes, we drill by the foot. Right now we range anywhere from $20 to $25 a foot, depending on what county we're in, and the laws and the rules and the regulations that correspond with that county, why things are different in different counties. I wish they'd all just get on the same board and do the same thing. But and that also has to go like where we have to travel to, how far we have to travel. All right, hook up another rod, last rod. go take a look at the house while we cut that last rod. No, it don't look like it. Yeah, there you go. The Krabby Acres, yeah. You're $8,300 plus $3,000 to $5,000 for the pump system. You're spot on. That's $13,000 to $15,000. That's exactly, you know, what ours would be. That's typical going rate nationally to have a well drilled. But you know what's crazy is you go to Florida and they'll have wells there that are like 80 feet. And you might get a $7,000-8,000 bill, and then you come up here, you drill a 400-foot hole for the same price. It's just different styles of drilling. This house looks awesome. I love the pattern they did, stamped concrete. I don't know why my damn comments won't stay live. They disappear after like 30 seconds. Here in New Jersey, we have a 4-inch casing that goes down about 90 feet in my area, all sand. Hot dog, it's open. I might lose y'all. I'm just gonna stay next to the door. That's cool. I got a pool table light. Guess we know what's going there. I bet you that's gonna be a pool table. I bet that's gonna be a poker table. That's got poker table light all over it. Hot dog. We know whose spot this is, don't we? The man cave. And it's waterfront property. Steve Allred from Germantown, Ohio. I saw you yesterday and I wondered where you were from. We had a Mike Allred that was near us. He was actually a well driller, believe it or not. No longer with us, but yeah, bad signal. Yeah. That's what I get for going in the basement. A cool little walkway between the garage and the house. Oh, look, there's somebody in there. He said getting better, yeah. Yeah, as I get back up away from all this dirt and down in the bottom, away from the back of the house, yeah. Yep, the fees and everything correlated with well drilling, septics, home building, all that. Everything's different in every state. Next thing we got to get is a new over-reamer. This thing is probably 15 years old, getting thin. I think that was a custom make that my dad made. We got to remake it. The shovel is y'all's POV. That's my tripod. Welcome. Thanks for subscribing. Oh yeah. Yeah, Dad can retire, but he doesn't want to. He's still at work every morning before I am. I'm always late. I used to get to work real early. I did that too long. Now I know the job's gonna get done regardless of what time I show up. Yeah, it's crazy. Depending on how close you live to the coast, you can have like a 100-foot well that has fresh water. And then if you take that same well and drill it to 200 foot, you end up with salt water. It's kind of crazy, you know. Oh. Drilling sounded different there for a second. Normally when the sound of the drilling, the percussion that y'all hear, when that changes, oftentimes that's going through an open spot down there. Nice if it made a little bit more water. Blowing it out this morning a lot of times helps flush the veins out. It gives it a couple hundred psi of opposite direction force, like a mini crack. Do you ever find gold in the tailings? No, I actually have a video I need to do on that. Kind of clickbaity, but no, I've never seen anything of gold. I've actually found quartz crystals coming out of a well. As crazy as that is, that's the video that I need to do. I've got some really old content, probably a year and a half, 2 years old at this point. Still saved in my phone, but I've never done the video on it. But yeah, I think we're 350 foot. All the rocks coming out were white. A whole bunch of water came out. And I started shoveling and I started pulling the larger pieces up with my hands, and they were angular pieces of quartz. And just like a quartz crystal, you got 6 sides. These pieces were broken because of, you know, the drilling process, but they were 3 perfect angular sides on a bunch of different pieces. I still got them sitting at my house. Yep, my rock collection. Static water level in Florida is 32 foot, same here. Static water level in a well is actually one of the biggest factors in determining what size pump and how deep you got to put your pump. People don't really understand that. They're like, my well makes 30 gallons a minute, but my static water level's at 120 foot. Can I put this, you know, so-and-so pump in there? I'm like, no, you can't. They're like, but it works from this depth. I said, yeah, but you got to overcome the 120 foot of, you know, static water. All that head pressure is pressure loss on the pump. People just don't grasp that. You got these beaver pumps and the Hallmark pumps from like Amazon and Lowe's, the real cheap ones. They do not perform as advertised. People all the time put them in, then they call and complain. Why will it only build 25 pounds of pressure? Well, it's because you bought a $150 pump. That's what my next video is going to be, is pulling out an old Amazon pump that I actually put in. And ironically, it was not bad. I felt so stupid. But you'll see the video. It'll come up in the next couple of days. I don't want to spoil what was the problem. No, Bruce, never found gold while drilling. Can you imagine you paying through all this? You found a little bit, and then you think to yourself, wow, I found $40 for 12 hours worth of work. rods out. I don't know if y'all can notice the difference in the sound of the machine. That's all because I turned my water up. It makes the hammer sound so differently because it's like flooding it out with water. So it's struggling to get the air and the water through the same passageway. But the reason why I turned the water up is because we're at the end. So we want to flush and blow the hole as clean as possible before we start tripping out. Damn, 27% battery life. Wow, it died a whole lot faster than that. Well, y'all will be on until it dies, because I'll be tripping out probably when the battery dies, but it may make it all the way. It may. I think a lot of it has to do because I'm sitting here turning the screen back on, talking to y'all, brightening the screen up. Alright, we'll get to the bottom, we'll blow it, we'll see what it makes, and then we'll trip out. they're 20 foot long. What's crazy is we hit water on that last rod. That is amazing. Right at the time when I turned up the water and I said that the sound of the drill rod was going to be different, that was when we went through that vein. That's why I brought that last drill rod up. I could tell we're 15 foot off the bottom, more or less, is where we hit all that water. That's spectacular. We're making a solid 10 to 12 gallons a minute. That is freaking awesome. Goodwill. No, we don't have 22 rods. We have 20. 8 in the carousel, 12 in the side box. That's 400 foot plus the length of the hammer and the bit. Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. I thought we were going to end up with a 1.5 gallon well. All right, time to get to work.